Hello, everybody. Let's do solutions to problem set 4. So in the first one, let's define a new sales item class. A sales item will represent items that might be sold by an online vendor, and they should have the following attributes. So we should have an item name and a cost and a weight. All right, let's do that much. So I'm going to right click and say new Java class. I'm going to call it sales item. The naming convention is capital. You capitalize class names, and you use camel case. All right. So we're going to practice using the auto-generating tools. So I'm going to make my attributes private. So we'll have private string item name, private double cost, and private double weight. Now I will, so here it says, be sure to include all elements from the video. Attributes are private, you have a constructor, and you have getters and setters. All right, so I'm going to do shift. I'm going to type the word constructor, and I'm going to generate a constructor using all 3 inputs. So there's my constructor, sales item that takes 3 inputs. Let's do getter and setter methods. So shift, getter and setter. Click on it. I'm going to generate getters and setters for each of the attributes. So there they are. And then the last thing we need is toString. And toString I'm going to write myself. So public string toString. And then remember, this is going to return how you want your particular object to look when you print it. So here in my problem prompt, I say it should be of the form item name and then in parentheses and then $sign and the cost. So I'm going to do item name plus parentheses $sign, plus cost plus closing parentheses, and that's all. All right. So now it says in main, create 2 different sales item objects and print them to test that everything works okay. So here I am in main. Let's split this. All right, so in main, I'm going to say sales item A equals new sales item. Let's do an item name, Wombat. And its cost is $41.99, and its weight is, in an unspecified unit, its weight will be 0.8. Okay, let's do sales item B, new sales item. This will be a spy cam. Its cost is very expensive, and its weight is almost nothing because it's so small for spying. All right, let's print out A. Let's print out B. Cool. So things to notice. I've got my constructor here. I'm using the keyword new to run my constructor. I'm passing it the arguments that it needs. I'm passing it the inputs that it needs in the right order. The data type is sales item because the variable A is now a sales item object. And then the reason I can print A is because I've defined my toString. So just printing A is the same thing as saying A.toString. All right. Here we go. So it says Wombat and then the cost. It says SpyCam and then the cost. Okay, so that looks great. So problem 1 is done. Let's do problem 2, rectangle. To create a new rectangle class with the following attributes, x, y, width, and height. Okay. Close sales item. Let's make a new Java class called a rectangle. We will have a private double x and y, private double width and height. If you were unaware that you can do this, it's totally okay to declare 2 variables on one line like this. Okay, so include a constructor and a toString, no getter methods, and 2 setter methods. Okay, so let's do constructor automatically. And let's do the toString ourselves. I guess I didn't specify what I wanted the toString to look like. So what do I want it to look like? I think I want it to look like X, and then a comma, and then a Y, and then width, and then height. So I just wanted to display the values of the variables. So the XY coordinates are in parentheses, and then just the width and the height. All right, so far so good. So we've got a constructor and we've got a toString. It says include the following setters. Set position that takes X, Y. So let's do that. So we can't auto-generate this. It's a void method. Set position double X, double Y. And so I'll say this dot X gets my new X value, and this dot Y gets my new Y value. Remember, the keyword this refers to the currently executing object. So this dot X refers to this X variable up here, and it's getting assigned the input X variable. The next setter says set size width height. So that's very much the same thing, but if the width of the height is negative, then the method shouldn't do anything. All right, so public void set size double WH for width and height. So if width is less than or equal to 0, or height is less than or equal to 0, then I'm just going to exit and do nothing. Even if it's a void return type, saying return with no return value is still okay. It just exits the method right away. So if we didn't exit the method right away, we can set the width to be W, and we can set the height to be H. All right, add the following additional methods to your rectangle class. Left returns the X coordinate of the left side, right side, top, bottom, and area. Okay, so if it's, so left is going to return a double because all of our things are doubles. And the X coordinate of the left side is just X. Let's do right. The X coordinate of the right hand side has got to be X plus the width. Okay. Top is going to be the Y coordinate of the top, which is just Y. And bottom is going to be Y plus height. Actually, so right now I'm assuming we're working in a coordinate system similar to how computers do graphics, where where larger Y values are further down the screen. If you were doing it the other way, then I guess top would be, what did I actually say? So I said Y is the Y coordinate of the upper left corner, and H is the height. So in a normal like math coordinate system, we would subtract the height to get to the bottom. But in computers, we would add the height to get to the bottom. Because I didn't specify, you could do either one, and I'm fine with it. Okay. Right, area. Let's do that one. Return the area of the rectangle. So public double area, return width times height. Okay. In a main class, create an array list of rectangle, loop 100 times and create 100 rectangle objects. They should have randomly generated XY positions and all have a size of 30 by 30. All right. So let's go to main here. I'm going to delete the sales item stuff. Okay, so I want an array list of rectangle, which I will call rects. And now I want to loop 100 times. So for I goes from 0 to 100. And now let's make a new rectangle. The new rectangle, if I'm going to run the constructor, I need to give it an X and a Y, and then the width and the height are both 30 and 30. Rectangle. Okay. X and Y don't exist yet. I mean, yes, we have parameters X, Y here, but these are only declared inside the rectangle class. They're not declared out here. So I need to be able to create some random variables. So let's do this. Double x equals math.random times 500. I'm not casting to int because I don't want these to be ints. All right. So now I've got some random xy, width and height are 30 and 30. And then what do I need to do? I need to add it to the array list. So now that I've got my rectangle R, I will say rects, which is the name of my list, dot add R. Hopefully this is a familiar pattern from last year. I think you did this a medium amount last year. Now it says, write a second loop in your main class to print each of the rectangle objects in the list. All right, so let's do that. A second loop. But this time I'm going to loop, so I could loop 100, but I think it's slightly nicer to loop up to rects.size, because then if I decided to add more rectangles to my list, this is still going to loop through the whole list. What do I want to do? I want to print out rects.getI. So rects.get is how I actually get a rectangle, and if I wanted to, I could assign it to its own variable here, and then print the variable. Either way would work. I could just get straight inside the print statement, or I could have a variable. And remember, this is secretly running toString like this, but I don't actually have to type toString because it happens automatically. It happens implicitly. All right, let's do it. Cool. So width is always 30, height is always 30. What's this link? It's weird. I don't know what that's about. Clearly, I could have done a little better job with my spacing here, and then it would have been nice to round these to 2 digits. But it seems like it's working. I've got a whole bunch of random rectangles. All right. That's the end. I hope that this was helpful. If you want to do the extension problem, come back for a different video.